If you're law enforcement, stop and listen to me right now. If you're a police department that does not have an LPR system, Insight is offering the first 10 agencies, that means one agency apiece, gets one camera for free. You have to tell them that Two Cops, One Donut sent you. You heard me right. If you're a police agency that does not have an LPR system yet, or does have an LPR system, and you're not happy with the product you have, Insight is offering you a free camera. No strings attached, and they will install it. I have 10 to give out. Tell them Two Cops, One Donut sent you, or reach out to me, and I will get you in contact. If you're a business owner or an HOA, please stop and listen to me right now. If you're just listening to the audio, do yourself a favor and watch the YouTube version of this episode to get a visual of what I'm about to tell you. I want to tell you guys about Insight LPR. It's a license plate reader. If your agency, community, or business is looking to invest in LPR to help solve and deter crime or to make your community safer, Insight LPR has my vote of confidence. I've met with their team. They know their LPRs, guys. They're the real deal. They bring over 75 years of collective experience to building LPR cameras and the software that supports communities across the country. The other thing I really like about this team is how much they listen to law enforcement. They understand the importance of working together with law enforcement and getting their input as they build and innovate products and their service to match the needs of law enforcement. In other words, when I complain or have suggestions to make their damn camera better, they actually do it. The Insight LPR team is extremely passionate and takes pride in their product development, which makes their cameras some of the most durable cameras in the market. For the gear nerds out there, what that means is this stuff's made of military grade aluminum and is nitrogen purged, whatever that means. This design makes the cameras rugged and able to withstand harsh weather elements. Here's the big selling point for me. Their nighttime scan accuracy is higher than most of the leading competitors. In my opinion, this is what sets them apart. As we know, the majority of crimes occur at night, so it's critical to have high scan accuracy at night. Insight's cameras check the box with the nighttime plate read accuracy greater than 96%. 96%, guys. That's pretty freaking high. If your community is looking to invest in LPR technology, reach out to one of their experts today, or reach out to me. Tell them Two Cops, One Donut sent you. Coming up next on Two Cops, One Donut.
So I'll pose that so what do you think about when you think of backpacks?
Hiking, camping.
Okay.
Personally, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
I got a ton of backpacks, so I'm a backpacker.
So what do you think about from a perspective of an officer?
A backpack as a cop?
Yeah.
Dope transportation, money, guns.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a cop, yeah, instantly.
So
my instinct is camping though.
So same thing. So
yeah,
basically, I think of the same thing.
Yeah.
When I think of a backpack, I think of as Robert the mentor. I think of style, trendy, fashion. Because I know the kids love them.
Yeah.
But as an officer, I think of concealment.
Yeah.
I think of weapons and guns. And drugs, because again, I was that guy working undercover.
Yeah.
But as a parent, I think of education. With the backpack. That's what it's designed for. So, what about hoodie?
Hoodie, yeah, right away. Suspect. Every suspect description. Hoodie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But me growing up in Michigan, I'm like, that's the national anthem.
All right. See? So same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. You think backpack, you think hoodie, police officer, you think somebody getting ready to hit a lick. Right?
Yeah. Especially if that shit's up and it's Texas. You're like, why'd you hood up, bro? It's summertime.
Yeah. But as the mentor in me, I know that is just a comfort. It's fashion for the kids. It's the time that we're living in, and I'm the kind of guy I like hoodies too. But I also, as the mentor, I know that the hoodie comes with the stigma, the bullying. Some of the kids, it's the social emotional aspect of it, because some of the kids may not have a haircut, so they wear hoodies. They don't want to get picked on.
They can't wear hats in school.
They don't want to get bullied. They'll allow them to wear hoodies. They won't allow them to wear hats.
All right, and we're back. Eric Levine, Two Cops, One Donut. This is my podcast attempting to bridge the gap between first responders and the community. Special guest today is a homicide sergeant, Robert Walsh, with this nonprofit called NEX Metropolitan.org. How you doing, brother?
Doing well. How about you?
I'm doing great. It's kind of weird, isn't it? A little
Yeah.
cop ran podcast.
Yeah, a little bit.
And it's named Two Cops, One Donut, right?
But it's needed, right?
It is needed. I think so. So I got introduced through a mutual friend. I think it was Kern.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gerald Kern. Met that guy doing an extra duty. I was working traffic in our downtown area, and I always wear during Christmas time. I wear Christmas lights around on a part time, not on regular duty, but on part time. And I found in the downtown area, cops are constantly having to tell people what to do because they don't drive the best during the holidays.
Go figure.
And the lights are a way to de-escalate things before they ever get started, because they're like, oh, this cop can't be that bad. Look, he's festive.
Yeah.
And so I kind of tested that theory. And ever since I started wearing them, people treated me better. So
Good.
I wore those. But Gerald was out doing his photography thing, and he's listening to me interact with the citizens. And I didn't realize he was listening to me, but he's paying attention. And then eventually he's just like, I love the way you do police work. He's like, you're talking to people and actually having conversations.
Yeah.
Can I get your picture? I was like, okay, yeah, you could have got my picture even if I told you no. So take it. So
correct.
Gerald took this picture, and it ended up blowing up on the little internets that we're on. Nothing viral by any means, but got a lot of good feedback. And ever since then we've been friends, and since I started this, he's been introducing me to more and more people. And now I got you on, man.
Yeah. Yeah,
All
definitely.
Right. Okay. So the way that the format for this show tends to break down is I like to humanize you first. I'm giving my formula away to the haters out there, but I like to humanize first. So I start that off with, like, where are you from? How did you get into police work? Like, what led that path? What's your education level at? All that good stuff. So
okay. Well, I grew up in Louisiana, just outside of New Orleans.
I'm sorry.
Kenner, Louisiana. Yes.
I'm gonna talk trash.
Yes, my city has to be on the map. Kenner, Louisiana. And you know what? In the 5th grade, it sounds like a cliche, but the DARE program, I was introduced to it, and the officer just had that impact, kind of like you.
Yeah.
He was very innovative. And the crazy part about it was when I graduated from undergrad, and I'll tell you a little bit about that, but I saw him at a store, and he knew my name.
He remembered.
Yeah.
That is big.
Yeah, he knew my name, and I was like, man, I know I'm going in the right path, because I wanted to be that guy, So growing up again in Louisiana, New Orleans, and seeing everything that I've seen, and family being involved in a lot of that, I just wanted to do something different, wanted to go against the grain. I've always been that guy that probably does my own thing. And, just decided to do something different. And I wasn't the guy that really knew exactly how to get, where I wanted to go. Okay. So at that point, after graduation, I started pushing buggies at Walmart.
Buggies.
Yeah.
Okay. We call those shopping carts from the north.
But
I know we're in the south.
Yeah.
But I'm just, for those normal people listening, a buggy is a shopping cart.
Hey, I've got a little that, Midwest in me. I was actually born in Illinois, but.
Okay. Yeah. That's what's up.
Yeah. But, I put shopping carts, let's say that.
All right.
All the way through grad school, but that first year I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. So it was an opportunity for me to grow and mature a little bit. And eventually I decided I can't do this forever.
Okay.
So I was fortunate enough to attend Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which is a HBCU, where I earned my bachelor's and master's in criminal justice.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So first off, I think we got to kind of explain what DARE is, because I think we're dating ourselves, because I remember DARE. I had crime, was it McGruff?
Yeah.
McGruff, the crime dog. That's what it was.
Dog.
So the DARE program was a dare to keep kids off of drugs back in the day. And you'd get these black shirts with DARE written across it in red. And I think it was the Reagans that pushed that. Was it Reagan?
Yeah, I believe so. Drug abuse resistant education or something like that.
Yeah. And it was this huge movement to scare the shit out of kids. You remember, this is your brain on drugs. I think that was funded by DARE and all that stuff. So, but no, DARE was very impactful. And just like you said, I remember as a kid, the the officers that came in to explain DARE, I just remember looking at them going, oh my God, these guys are awesome. They've got their stuff together, and I'm just gonna say no.
Yeah.
That was their whole slogan, just say no. And I don't know if that person, like, because I grew up in Flint, Michigan, so I got offered drugs. And I just remember the officer from our DARE program that told me specifically, he's like, you play sports, right? He's like, yeah. And he's like, that's your excuse. He's like, it's an easy outlet. I can't, man. They drug test.
Yeah.
And use that. I mean, that was when I got older, but it's like, yeah, you're right. So that was that was my go-to for my friends that didn't play sports and would try to pressure you. Like, I can't, man. They do the P test. And they're like, they still do that? I'm like, yeah. Never got P tested. At the beginning of the season you do.
Yeah.
But no, that's good stuff. All right. So you decided to go for your master's in criminal justice as well. So I got my master's in criminology and criminal justice from TCU.
Okay.
And I cannot tell you how many people that don't even have a master's degree be like, oh man, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time.
Definitely.
I don't agree with that.
I heard the same thing.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. Especially now, it seems like there's more of a push because they're finding out that if you put a administrative person degree in the top spots of police work, they're not doing the best. The ones that are doing the best are the ones that understand the full encompassing nature of the criminal justice system. And no stats and no little nerdy things, how to blow through someone's bullshit stats that they're trying to put out there and stuff like that. You know, we can turn stats into anything we want them to be. So, no, that's cool. So you do any sports, do any extracurricular activities while you was there?
Nah.
No?
Look
Nothing?
at me, man. I'm 5 foot nothing, but you know.
Hey, man, Muggsy Bogues, he made it to the NBA. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, that's rare. Let's be realistic.
All right. You know, maybe you did bowling. I don't know. There's obscure sports. Maybe you played an instrument. This is South.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of instruments down South.
No.
None of that?
None of that.
So you just went straight school? No military?
No military.
Anybody in your family police?
Never.
No.
Never.
So you're the first?
First to graduate high school, first to go to college, first to be a cop. Yeah.
Okay. So in your upbringing, any strife? Was it, were you middle class? Were you lower economic class?
Lower, yeah.
Lower?
Had 2 strong parents that, really did what they could
to
kind of keep us out the street. And, I had a goal. I had to go early on in life. So, never strayed from it. So I don't know how, probably prayers. I wasn't the kid that liked drugs or wanted to experiment. If I said no, this is what it was.
Yeah, okay.
Probably because I knew what was waiting on me at home.
Okay, I gotcha. Well, that goes into more of what we'll talk about later. But having parents, plural, having 2 strong people there, that can make a difference when it comes to juvenile paths, when it comes to crime, or even like me, I teetered on the side. Like I could have fell on either side of the fence. And my dad was a cop, but he was a cop down here. So I only had to behave during the summer. But all right, man. So I like that. So you get your degree. Now you got to decide what you're going to do with it.
Yeah, correct.
So what was the idea? Was you trying to go to a 3-letter agency at first, like everybody that gets a degree tries to do?
Everybody has that dream,
Mm-hmm.
But in undergrad, a buddy of mine who ended up here in North Texas as well, we were thinking, what are we gonna do? And he ended up coming here, and I was like, man, I'm already broke. Why not just go and push a couple more years and get a master's degree? And when I came here, I just decided, I think I like this a little bit more because of the relational police aspect of it,
Yeah.
Those 3-letter words, they don't really get into the community as much as I would like, at least.
Yeah, I was, man, when I first got my bachelor's, I was like, and I was in the military, so I was like, FBI all the way, CIA, one of the two. Like, I was like, that my goal was like, I'm gonna get in there. So I get this interview, and you want to talk about unprepared? Now, we're talking 2010, so it's not that Google wasn't a thing and all that stuff, but the way we research now versus then, there wasn't much out there. So I looked up stuff on how to interview for the FBI. I wasn't prepared. They were asking me a lot of foreign policy stuff. Like, who's the leader of Russia? Who's the leader of Cuba? And I'm like, okay, Putin. I got that one. And they're like, who's the leader of China? I was like, Kim Jong-il? No, that's Korea, I think. And they're like, is it? I'm like, all right, listen. I don't know anything about foreign policy. I don't really care. I was like, I guard nukes. I work for the military. Have a top secret clearance. If you give me a mission, I'll get it done. And they started laughing. I was like, because I have a feeling you got more questions about foreign policy, and I'm just looking dumber and dumber. So
let's just skip that, right?
Yeah, let's be real. If this is what you're looking for, this is what I got. If you're not, it was a learning experience, and they were cool about it. But yeah, I didn't get a call. So I started looking at local agencies, and I went. As soon as I was I had already got hired just before I separated. So I applied all over the nation, but I wasn't choosy. I didn't pick well enough. I got to a spot in Michigan I didn't like. Just not enough opportunity. It's not that they were bad, but not enough opportunity. And police aren't really liked as much up there anyway. So I wanted to go somewhere where the police are supported. Yeah. And then I ended up coming down here. And just like you said, there's a big difference between the 3-letter agencies when it comes to working with the public and what we do today. So, so you choose Texas, and what is your idea about becoming a cop?
Really, based off of what I saw, of course, in school, being in criminal justice, I had some professors that were actually cops.
Okay.
So one of my lead instructors was a homicide investigator. So it was cool to get the real inside scoop of what the life would really be like. And then I had a buddy again who was already an officer. So, I had a realistic expectation of what was to come,
Right.
And then anything was better than New Orleans, as far as law enforcement, it couldn't be that bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I obviously, as a kid, I would have never paid attention to New Orleans, especially being up in Michigan. But through college, I learned a lot about New Orleans police definitely. And in the shit that they went through, the corruption and stuff like that. But that goes into what happens to your police when they're not supported. That's the downward spiral that can happen when you're not supporting your police. So I learned a lot in my education line when it came to New Orleans. They're on the right path now, so I'm not slamming you, New Orleans. I'm just
a lot of great officers there. I mean, they definitely are more experienced, and so I've met a couple of those guys. And every time I go home, I make sure they know that I appreciate them because I was that kid that they helped protect. So
yeah, that's awesome. And it's kind of funny that the two police guys that you've mentioned so far, you followed the path of both of them. So you're an impressionable young man by good people. All right. So you go and you choose Texas, and now you're deciding, just like any cop, you get hired, and you start seeing, like, especially you're at a fairly large agency compared to the rest of the nation, and now you get to see all your options. You're like, oh shit, I can go be a bike cop, I can go be a SWAT guy, I can go be Kano. What all these different options? Did your path, was it chosen? Did you have you stayed strict to what you wanted to do, or did you did?
Yeah, definitely.
Damn, son, you just focused motherfucker.
You had to, and ask me how, I don't know. But I always knew what I was going to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so homicide was the path for you.
Well, even before that, I was in narcs. So
okay, so there's the dare part.
That was my first love.
Okay. So you go narc. Yeah. All right. Now, did you do any UC stuff? A
lot of it.
Any interesting?
A lot of it.
Okay.
A lot of it.
Everybody's always going to want, oh, what's the coolest story? No, I don't want the coolest story, biggest bust. I don't want that. I want, what was the impactful ones? What was the one where you changed somebody's life? Do you got any of those? Off the top of your head? I would probably
think, the crappiest locations. So let's say that there have been so many locations where, as narcs, we're like, oh man, it's not going to be much in there as far as narcotics and money and things and seizures, but some of the best ones are the ones that are just, life changing. One of the quality of life warrants that you execute on locations, because I still have parents that live in those areas, and just to see those kids and get those kids out of those environments and into the hands of Child Protective Services, and hope that the parents have an opportunity to rehabilitate themselves, you know.
Yeah.
And I get it, you know, I come from that environment. I know that you're probably, whatever led you to sell drugs, I don't judge you for it. You know, and I always told them that I'm not here to judge you, but there are consequences based off of what you did. And a lot of the guys always said, man, you were cool. You're a cool dude.
Yeah.
You know, I'll still hang with you.
Yeah. And it's one of the things I'm trying to teach some of the younger officers. I'm like, look, the relationships you start today will pay off.
Yeah, definitely.
Down the road, because especially in NARC, you know, I dabbled with NARC stuff. I didn't get on the NARC unit by any means, but I worked with them all the time just because I just wanted to play and kind of figure that side of the house out, see if it was for me. It didn't end up being for me, but, you know, I learned a lot. And then that's one of the things I picked up from our NARC guys is like just how nice they are to everybody. And I'm just, you know, I'm stepping back and I'm not surprised by it. I was like, okay, this is how they do things.
Yeah.
And then I start talking to them like, you know, you just pulled out like a key and a half off that dude. And I was like, and you're treating him like he's your best, like they're going to get him something to eat.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, because he's going to tell us where he got that. And then, you know, they had like a couple informants there, and I didn't know they were informants at the time, but I'm like, man, they treating these guys good. But that's people they busted at one point and then turned them into informants. And so listen, officers out there, like being kind, I don't really recall any time being an asshole has paid off.
Yeah.
Ever. I mean, I've been in a fight with, to be fair, I'm trained, like heavily trained. I've done jiu-jitsu for a long time. I boxed, judo. I don't have a trouble. You know how it is in the street.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't have a lot of trouble. Now, if I go against a trained dude, I'm not as good as a person that trains all the time. But for what we do as police, I do just fine. And to the point where it's kind of fun and humorous because I don't have to hurt anybody and stuff like that. But you see me on body camera, if you ever see me, and I'm like, hey man, like I'm talking to him, like chill out, like I'm trying to talk to a kid, you know, and people are like, you're like in a fight, but you're being so nice. I'm like, yeah, but think of how much that pays off at the end, because the next time I deal with that guy that he never fought me other than that, he's cool. Oh, he'll treat me fair. He knows I'm gonna treat him fair. You know, I didn't put an ass whooping on him.
It's all about relationships.
It is.
It's all about relationships and not forgetting that, you know, everybody doesn't understand the law like we do. And the crime's already been committed. It's kind of one of those, hey, let's take care of business.
Yeah.
You know,
and let's face it, some of us cops don't know all the laws.
Yeah, true.
I know you did something wrong, and I'm going to look it up afterwards. I'm going to get the specific offense, but right now I'm not exactly sure what the law is you broke.
Yeah, you know, there are citizens that sometimes know a little bit better than we do.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Especially like, you know, the Second Amendment activists or the First Amendment activists and stuff like that. And they're like, well, the Articles of Confederation state. And I'm like.
You're like, wait, let me look that up.
I'm just like, listen, you don't get to argue with me. That's for the courts. So we're going to handle it my way. If you're right, awesome. You just won money. You're going to get to sue us. So,
yeah. But
I think I'm right. So let's do this. But yeah, don't ever get emotionally invested into that stuff when they
you know, NARC's really just kind of taught me how to build relationships, you know, because you talk to everybody, from all, you know, walks and lives and things like that. And so with that, you know, you take that with you, and I took a lot of that with me from, you know, the interviews I conducted and just people you interact with, you know, just like, hey man, you know, we all make mistakes. But you learn the community that way too, and you learn how to interact with people, and it keeps you up on the latest lingo and all that great stuff, you know. And and you need informants in order to be successful at the job at all. You know, so it's just you know, relationships.
Did you do any UC stuff yourself?
Most of it was myself.
Oh
yeah,
shit. Okay, I'd love to hear that language come out. I know your vernacular changes. You probably even got an accent.
Most of it was, definitely. That was the best part about the job until I, you know, had a kid, and then I was like,
oh yeah, it ain't just about you now.
Better find some more informants.
yeah. That's kind of, I would say that's what steered me. I've always kind of, the community side's always been a part of me, and it's what I want to do. But like I said, I dabbled in narc, I dabbled in, gang and looking on that side of the house. But then the kids pushed, I think that's what pushed me. I was like, this path's better.
Yeah.
I can be more impactful over here. That will always be there.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go, make an impact on somebody's life in a different way. But so you get done with narc, you do some UC stuff, which that's awesome. I had a undercover narc guy, not anymore, obviously, but
Yeah.
I had him on here. It's been one of my most popular episodes. So, but you do that. Obviously, how many years did you do that for?
A total of 8.5. I was a supervisor too. I was a sergeant in the unit too.
Oh, so you went from officer all the way through.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. So you was a specialist.
It wasn't as fun as a supervisor.
I know. You got to let your boys play.
Yeah.
Okay. So you move up the ranks through that unit, and then as you're making these relationships through that, is that where this starts to come into play?
Well, yeah, kind of, during the interaction as a UC, you don't really interact with cops very often, in uniform because of obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, I mentored a lot, and a lot of people didn't know that I was a mentor. I started in college, but that was, for me, it was a mental health aspect of the job for me, because everybody you're really interacting with are bad guys.
Right.
So I love serving the community, so this was my way of doing it. So I was a mentor, big brother, big sister,
Mm-hmm.
and I did it for many years.
Okay. I tried doing that in the military, but you just couldn't have a dependable schedule. And so I was like, I feel bad trying to quit, but I can't be dependable to these kids. And they were like, no, we noticed you can't be dependable. They're like, we already had you on our list because you're military. And they're like, we knew this may be hard for you.
Yeah.
And so I was like, at least they were real about it. But yeah. So you did that that's a long time, man.
Yeah, I did it I was in NARCs, and like I said, it was, the community aspect of it was just my thing, and mentoring. I really always felt I had to give back, because I definitely wouldn't be here without somebody, pouring into me. So.
Right. Okay. So through that, a lot of success stories.
As far as the mentor stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the things I always told the boys was, man, let's just make it to high school graduation and we'll figure things out from there. I believe in just those short-term goals.
Yeah.
And I'm actually still in contact with the 3 young men I had here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. So when you do that, are you taking on more than one at a time, or? No,
it's just one.
Just one?
Just one. I had one for maybe 2-3 years, and then the next I had him, which was the longest. I had him for like 5-6 years.
Okay.
And then I had another kid for like 1.5 years or so. But that second one, he and I were a lot alike, and even today he'll pick up the phone, big brother, I messed up.
Oh no.
All right, man.
I mean, that's good.
What happened, and it's typically something with a girl.
Girl, I was gonna say with ladies, yeah.
Something with a girl.
She can. Hey folks, Eric Levine from Two Cops, One Donut. Want something better than Ring, Arlo, Brink, or any of the other quick launch home security systems? I've been having trouble with my Ring products. They don't read license plates on moving vehicles, the link doesn't connect fast enough to my phone, and I'm tired of getting notifications only to see like a glimpse of something that set it off. I was reached by a veteran-owned business called Agent Security. The owner, the staff, all veterans or former cops, they're kind of like the Chick-fil-A of customer service when it comes to security. They have a system that does everything companies like Ring do and more. They have pivoting cameras that track day or night. They can also read license plates and catch high-definition details that will lead police more effectively to catching the offender. Their mission is providing the best home security systems to their customers. All you have to do is start the conversation to protect our most valuable assets, our families. They listen to your needs and come up with perfect customized security solutions to protect what matters to you most. You can contact them by phone at 713-962-3558 or email info@agentsecurity.com or visit their website, agentsecurity.com. That's agentsecurity.com. They serve the greater Houston area, North Texas, and more. Be sure to tell them that Eric Levine from Two Cops, One Other Girl. Okay. From that, I want the community to understand the importance of it, and is there a way, would you recommend that the community push for their police department to try to get their department to do something like that?
As far as mentoring,
yeah,
definitely, but you have to have those officers that are genuine,
right?
Because kids are smart, and the community's smart. If they're going to be a detriment to what you're trying to do, don't use them. And it's tough because there's so much more going on in law enforcement. Everybody's being pulled multiple ways, but it's so important to put the right people in place, because you can damage the relationship that you already have. And like I said, they know when you're not genuine.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Most departments have some sort of mentoring, in some form, but specifically, kind of what you got going on, and let's address the reason for it. Like, I'm of the opinion, and I'll find out if you agree. I'm of the opinion that recidivism is a hard beast to tackle. People, repeat offenders, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And we're talking about adults. Okay. We're trying to fix a problem that has been building for years. They didn't just become 25 years old and they're like, you know what? I'm just going to go felon style and just start doing well, some do. They get into dope. It can happen, but it's not typical. A lot of times it's these frequent flyers, as we call them, repeat offenders, and they're just constantly a problem in the system. Well, everybody and their mom are trying to figure out a way to stop that. How do we lower recidivism? Well, my theory and my best bet as a cop, what I think we need to do is stop focusing so much on the adults and focus a lot more on the juveniles.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the root. And we can't just focus solely on kids. We have to focus on the parents too, because we got generations of parents, single parents, raising kids that were raised by kids themselves.
Yeah.
So I think tackling the juvenile stuff through mentoring is a great system. I was telling Robert earlier that I was a part of something, I guess it was experimental at the time. I don't know if it was widely done yet, but it's called SCORE, and it's through the NFL. And the cool part about that thing is you show up and you're not a cop. You're just down. You civilian style, and you go meet these kids that are in athletics, in troubled areas. It doesn't mean the kid's troubled, but they're at high risk. They're at-risk kids. And you go in and you relate to them and you talk and you just be genuine. They're real big about, like, don't lie to these kids, like, other than pretending to not be a cop. So, and then the next day you show up again and you do some more activities, all these team building things. And like me, I'm a roaster. Like, I will roast the shit out of, like, that's me being me. Like, you want to start talking smack, I'm gonna get you back. So these kids were roasting each other back and forth, and they're like, "You gotta go." I was like, "Yeah, your mom just called. I gotta go." And so I'm like, we're talking shit to each other. But later on, there's this big reveal. We show up in full uniform after lunch. Yeah, you show up after lunch and you're in full uniform, and they're like, "What the fuck?" And then they realize they got a lot in common with police, and that together we can make the community safer and better and get rid of stigmas and stuff like that. So you got a program, NEX Metropolitan?
Yes, sir.
All right. So that is the whole premise of this show, folks, is we wanted to start talking about mentoring, but how do we mentor specifically? And Robert's got a program that he's been a part of that I guess has been pretty highly successful, because that's why you got recommended to come on.
Yeah, well, we're still grassroots, but I would like to think that we're effective. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you help just one person, it's worth it.
I want at least two.
Okay.
I don't want one.
Overachiever.
I want at least two.
Yeah. I tell my wife, because I probably dropped about 15, 20 grand on this podcast. I was like, if I help just one person, it's worth it. She goes, the hell it is. Like, I'm like, we just got different mindsets, babe. I want to help people. Yeah. I don't care what it costs, but she's like, our bank account does, and you got kids. So I'm like, all right, I get it. But we're doing better, and now we're having you on, and
I appreciate it.
Keep spreading the word, and I want the platform to be used for people like you and what you're doing. So can you explain what NEX Metropolitan is?
So NEX is a nonprofit where we empower young men ages 15 to 21. Our mission is basically to help them make the transition from adolescence into young adulthood, whatever that may look like. Some of the kids are what society considers at risk. I call them underserved because some of those kids are kids like me. I wasn't at risk of anything. I was just underserved. I was in the community where I just didn't have much, as far as resources. So we help them make that transition, and whatever the success looks like for them, we focus on 30 days at a time, short-term goals to build long-term success. Our pillars are mental health, education, and procedural justice.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna mark that down because I want to make sure that when we do this podcast and put it out there, I make a soundbite of that. That's a good spot because then that's what it's gonna focus on. So I like to write the times down for that stuff. All right. So how are you getting these kids? I say kids. If they're up to 21, I guess they're technically adults. Some of them. Yeah,
a lot of it is word of mouth in the communities. One thing you did know is I used to work in the schools too before I became the homicide supervisor, and during that time, I have to tell you the story.
All right, I like stories.
So I started dressing young men for prom. I'm a suit guy. I like suits. I feel like it's a drug. Kind of make you feel good. You get the first feeling. And even before I started a nonprofit, I started dressing young men for prom. So I was at one of the high schools. I was looking for kids, and someone brought me a young man who was 20 years old.
From high school?
Yeah, I didn't know you could be 20 years old and still in high school.
I didn't either.
Yeah, so he was 20 years old.
I hope he wasn't taking a freshman to prom.
No, I wouldn't have been a part of that.
I was gonna say, shit, you'd have Dad just sitting there in the gym watching. That's what I'd be doing.
So when I met this young man, I was the same way as you. I'm like, I'm not dressing a 20-year-old man. No way. So when I heard his story about how he didn't have a mom or dad, and grandma was raising him, and she pulled him out of school in like the 4th grade because of truancy, and he didn't go back to school until he was like 16 years old, 17.
Ooh.
Where he walked up to a school and said, "Hey, I want to enroll." And at that time, what do you do with a kid? You can't put him back in junior high. So you just got to put him in high school. And at that time, he was just trying to get his education. And he was basically a functioning illiterate, but a good kid. Would walk to school every day in the rain. And so after I heard his story, I was like, I've got to meet him.
Yeah.
So we helped him with a lot of different things that he needed as far as just having a birth certificate. He didn't have a birth certificate, had never really knew who his dad was. And so we helped him with that. We helped him with Social Security cards. And I wanted to make it my purpose to make sure he at least got that diploma.
Yeah.
Whether he actually had learned anything in that process, I don't know. But I wanted to at least have that paper to give him options. So I picked him up on the weekends and took him to school for credit recovery. In the evenings, I made sure he was there. So I was kind of like his parent, myself and a couple of my partners.
Yeah.
And from there, I felt like we could do more, because there were a lot of other kids like that that were out there. So that summer, I decided, you know what? I created a program in one of the other schools. Again, not trying to create a program, just doing something that needed to be done.
Okay. So you saw a gap and you were like, yeah, we got to fill this.
Yeah. And when I started, I just said, man, I can do this.
Yeah.
And for me, it was disheartening for people to show up to take pictures. And leave, and I wanted something sustainable in the kids' lives. So I just kind of took it on and not knowing the hurdle that I had to, the boundaries that I had to overcome.
Yeah.
But I knew that I had been doing this for most of my life, and I was that kid. And so I just decided to jump out there. I called one of my partners and I said, hey, this is what I want to do. I've always wanted to do it, but I think God just spoke to me to do it now.
Okay.
So I stepped out and on faith, and we've been piecing this thing together. But again, people know me in the community already.
Yeah.
So it's easier to meet the kids, and we won't accept just any kid. They have to be in the action phase of their lives. They have to want to see themselves wanting to do something different, because they're too damn old for me to try to cuddle them, and they don't want to be there. So mom and dad may want them to be involved, but first thing is, what does your kid want to do?
Yeah.
Does your kid have some type of goal that they want to accomplish? And if they do, then we can help them. So that's kind of how we find them. We just word of mouth. And now that we're in the community, you know, people like Gerald, you know, they hear about what we do and see what we do. And we kind of go out and just do what we can for them.
Okay. In the process, what is the feedback you're getting from the kids that you're helping? Like during, like, I'm sure there's phases of, you know, resistance and then, okay, they see the big picture and stuff like that. But like, what's the feedback you're getting from the kids that as you're helping them, the ones that have succeeded or the ones that have failed?
Yeah, it's kind of like you said. Initially, my boys don't know that I'm a police officer. You know?
Oh.
Yeah. So
okay.
We just kind of hang out. I get to know them. And when they finally figure out, I figure there's a good time to let them know. I kind of slide that in. Hey, what do you think about police? So I'm like, man, I don't mess with 12.
F12, bitch.
Yeah, you know, I don't mess with 12. And the other one's like, you know, I don't have any issues with them. And then kind of just spring it on them. And
okay.
And they're like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, man.
Yeah.
And I've had all but one kid were cool with it. Well, this one kid was like, man, I just can't get with you. So I respect that. You know, that's a choice that you make. But if you ever change your mind, you know
where I'm at.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
So.
I like that. I like that you guys put a little more responsibility in their shoes instead of trying to force something that just, you know, it's like trying to get somebody to quit smoking. If they ain't ready,
they're not ready.
They ain't ever going to do it. So what is the what's funding y'all? I know it's a nonprofit, but I mean, you guys got backers, you got sponsors. Is this coming from the city? Is it coming from the department?
No, it has nothing to do with the city or the department. This is when I initially started. It was all out of my pocket, just extra jobs, you know, and hoping the lights stay on in my house first.
Yeah.
And even now, we do have a one foundation that really believed in us, and they gave us our first grant. And I will say, the first year I didn't ask for any money.
Okay.
We went out and it was all about service. So that's how I met Gerald. Gerald was the first person that offered me an opportunity to do community service. So all of our boys have to commit to community service.
Yeah.
And we went out for the whole year and we just service.
At the food bank?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To let the community know that we're not here just asking for money.
Yep.
Then that next year we got Walmart gave me a small grant. And we've just been kind of growing from there. And then all of my board members, they have dues we all pay into the to the organization. And it's the funding aspect is tough. It's extremely tough. But the great thing about it is we don't have any overhead yet. We don't have a building or anything like that. Something that I'm praying
working
about.
Yeah. Hey, if you get an extra podcast space, let me know, because this is cramped and it gets hot in here. And you're local, so I can make it to that.
But a lot of it is private. It's private donations and stuff like that. One of the other organizations I talked about is Faith Fight Finish by Dak Prescott.
Oh yeah.
You know, Dak and his organization heard about what we were doing in the community, and I was fortunate enough to partner with them. So we've been able to leverage some of the community events that we do host, and they definitely support us too as well.
Nice. Well, he's not spending his money on winning championships, so go Lions. Somebody's got to be a Lions fan.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't know if you want to brag on the Lions.
Yeah.
But
hey, we had Barry, and that's all that matters.
That was a long time ago.
Hey, shut up. That's all that matters. Yeah, and the last time the Cowboys won the Super Bowl was a long time ago, so I'm going to talk smack, Dak. So he's never going to come on this show now, so. But no, that's awesome. So definitely it's a nonprofit, so anybody listening that's interested in getting involved, like, you've already got that tax write-off going for you. So I've been trying to figure out, I made this an LLC right from the get-go because I was worried about getting sued, and I knew how to do that. It was simple. I have no clue how to start a nonprofit, and people have told me, like, why don't you do a nonprofit? I'm like, I don't know how, so I'll have to get with you about that afterwards, because I would love to do that. Okay, so I'm trying to think of the dynamics and getting started. So you don't have a physical building. So you've got volunteers that you got a list. Now, are you guys, is it all officers? Or is you just doing?
No, definitely not all officers.
Okay.
I don't want this to look like a police force.
Okay.
But I do have some of the mentors are either mental health professionals, police officers, or educators, or just people, just common guys. Some of them are cons, who gone the wrong way, who decided, they've learned their lessons and can teach these young men something that I can't.
Right.
So we've got a variety of people, but one of the things I tell everybody in our organization leads with their heart. If they don't really genuinely care for the kids, they can't come around. Okay. There's no way.
Yeah.
I don't want your money. I don't want anything, because the money that you're giving me is not good seeds.
Yeah.
All of this has to be good seeds because you're planting in fertile grounds.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them that, we're not the biggest nonprofit, but if they want to pour into us and plant a seed in us, it's got to be coming from a good place.
I got you. Okay. Now I love the fact that you talk about the short-term goals. That's kind of how I teach my own kids. Unintentionally, I guess I never really thought of it like that, but I always thought the big goal, the big picture thing, like, it's so hard to stay focused on that if you're not having those small victories along the way.
Correct.
And those small victories along the way make all the difference. And I think that's the fuel to keep you going to the next stop. Do you have, I'm just curious, like, is it all in your head? Do you have like a path? Is this something you pamphlet out to these guys that are helping you? Like, this is what we're looking for.
Yeah, definitely. So we have a curriculum per se, right?
Okay.
So we meet every, once a month. We meet every third Saturday.
Just the mentors?
No, we just the mentors all together. But of course, we have meetings with all of the mentors as we go in to make sure that they understand the mission. And so let's say, for instance, you join our organization. The first thing we'll do is an application, and then we do an intake. That's what we call it.
Okay.
And the intake is really just to give us a better understanding of how to approach this particular kid. So I just got a new kid over the weekend, and like, we sat down with his mom, and the biggest thing is, okay, tell me about your son, because some kids don't like to be yelled at or depending on their background, so right. All of the mentors have to be aware of this particular kid. These are the pros and cons. These are some of the things that make this kid go. These are some of the things that will make this kid shut down. So we want to push on the right buttons and things like that. So the intake is one of those things that we utilize to give us that, that advantage. Mm-hmm. And then we know how to approach the kid.
Yeah. It's almost like, have you ever read The 5 Love Languages? I know that's kind of a...
Oh, yeah. I mean...
Yeah, okay.
Some version of it.
Yeah. So it really works for me and my wife. Take the religious side out of it. I know some people, it's just a Christian book. Look, despite that, it goes into human psychology. And so our love languages change and stuff like that. And I could tell you, as an angry youth, I was that kid. I was angry. I think it was more hormonal. I just was pissed off a lot for dumb reasons. But I think if my mom had known my reward system a little bit better, my love language, whatever you want to call it, it would have went a lot farther. But now we're talking, the 80s, early 90s, Mm-hmm. I don't think we're as empathetic and as in tune back then as we are today.
Yeah.
And I think that's an advantage for cops, is like I tell cops all the time, like, you ever read The 5 Love Languages? We have a hard enough time staying married in police world. But if you understand how somebody feels appreciated, it can help you with a citizen.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about mentoring young men, shit. I think that's a smart plan, to get a hold of the parents and what pisses them off, to what makes them feel appreciation.
Yeah.
Like,
definitely.
if you start to learn those things, for me, my big thing would have been, hey dude, you killed it. You did good. Like, I liked hearing that as a kid. Today, like, I don't care. I know I did good. Like, I just give me a hug. I'm a physical touch guy now. Give me a hug. Make me feel good, But dude, you guys have really thought this out. That's why I'm asking these questions. I'm just curious, like, is it like, here's your mentor and he's going to wing it, or no, you got a real curriculum going on.
And really, we don't match young men with mentors. And my thing with that is because if that mentor leaves, typically that progress that kid has made with that particular mentor is gone.
Oh, so it could be with you one day, it could be with another one the next.
Yeah, so I believe in a group setting.
Okay.
So there's always a particular mentor that gravitates towards a kid and vice versa. But so we'll do home visits where we just kind of either phone call or reach out to them, and all of the mentors are required to do that.
Okay.
But if if a mentor gravitates towards one kid, which happens all the time because of a common interest. Right. So one kid may like boxing, and the mentor is, I enjoy boxing too. So, hey, you want to go hit the bag or something like that. Yeah. So, but I believe if I assign a kid to a mentor, and that mentor, we're having an event and that mentor stuck at work or something like that, it can really derail the progress that we've made with that kid. And I don't want that. And I've seen it in multiple organizations that I've volunteered in. So for us, this works best.
That's smart. I like the group setting idea. That was one of the problems that I don't say I had with Big Brothers Big Sisters, but I was like, well, this don't work. And they're like, well, you can move on to the next. I'm like, yeah. But, if I'm meeting with a group of people and we all get a chance to talk, and like you said, and when you guys meet, are you meeting one kid alone, or is it like a bunch of kids come together and the mentors are all together?
No, everybody's together.
That's awesome.
Yeah, everybody's together.
I like that. That's cool, because then the pressure's gone.
Yeah.
I think that makes it, I could, if I'm the only kid, I'm like, all these grown ass men trying to mentor me, whatever it is. Okay. So what are some of the things that you've seen? Okay. And you'll kind of understand where I'm going with this. So just finding a suit for prom. Obviously that's one thing that, if you don't have a dad in your life, or even if you do, but he didn't have that, he doesn't know. So you got that, maybe getting into athletics or something like that. Like, what are the common things that you guys are regularly having to show these kids to help them out and get them what we would consider, normal habits to have for a young man growing up?
Yeah, it's really everything that you just said. So I'll give you an example. We had one kid the other day. He's playing football. He just moved here from Iowa. And this is his first year playing for you.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. This is his first year playing football. So I had to explain to him, man, football is king here in Texas. Yeah. So I took him to the store, and his family's doing what they could for him. But I explained it to him, and he was like, man, it can't be that hard. Right. It's like, well, a little bit different here. But
if he does D-line, he'll be fine.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna be a receiver. I said, okay, all right, cool.
All right.
And he's at a school in Dallas, and so he didn't have cleats. I said, man, you can't play football without cleats. So we just taking him, to the store to get some cleats and gloves and things like that, and it's important. And then we have kids that struggle with mental health issues, and that's why we have the therapist. So that may not be a normal occurrence for some kid, but it's becoming more and more common for a lot of kids as far as they're speaking on it, and we have mentors that can address that. We have mental health professionals who are, these social workers or therapists who can address that aspect of it. And and that's big for a male to be able to come forward. Yeah. To say that, hey, I'm not feeling well. And it's okay for us to tell them it's okay not to be okay. Right. Yeah. And you're doing the right thing. And then we have some kids that just, hey, man, I don't know how to ask a young lady on a date. Oh, okay. And you and I probably didn't know it either, but no, you just kind of wing it.
Yeah. Shoot, I remember looking through the yellow pages for girls' numbers from school. Yeah. I'm like, I think that's the Jaeger from that's got to be her dad. You remember doing that shit? I'm gonna call it. Hey, you want to go skating Saturday?
Hey, the ones I call were always either the wrong numbers. Well, I've got 3 names listed.
I got 3 more Jaegers to go. This is one of these.
Yeah, definitely. So just common things that you and I, went through. Yeah. Or maybe going through currently. These young men go through the same things. And, and so whatever it looks like, and then we even had young men who graduated from high school who didn't invite their, one of their parents. I had a young man who didn't invite his dad, and his mom said, Robert, he wants you there. He's got 1 ticket left, and he wants it for you. And I'm like, me? Yeah. It's like, yeah, you've done so much for him. Although he knows his dad and his dad has been in and out of his life, you've been consistent. So this ticket is for you, for graduation.
How do you not cry?
It's like, wow.
Bro, I'm a crier. I would have been like, fuck. I'll call you back.
Yeah, it's like, and so just to see them, and I was actually telling them Saturday, we all met Saturday, and I said, man, you guys are growing so fast in over these 2.5 years, and just looking back at pictures to see like how much, how fast kids grow up.
Yeah.
And just looking at it, and it's just amazing, what we've been able to accomplish in a short period of time.
How are you noticing their social skills? Because we had to talk when we was kids. So I'm wondering, are you seeing that as a, a mental, I don't want to say mental disorder, but where they're lacking development? Is that a common theme?
Sometimes, but at that point you find a commonality. So a lot of the things we do are based off of things that the kids like. So that intake is important. So, for instance, we have a couple young men who are into cars. So we host a car show.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we host a car show, and that way that gets that kid to kind of start talking and opening up. They love basketball, so we host an outdoor basketball tournament. But for the community, it's a resource fair, and we invite police officers because there are a lot of some of the agencies have basketball teams, and the officers come out. So that's an opportunity to open up with them, and the officers get an opportunity to talk to them. What else do we do? We host an event, and I got to tell you about this. It's amazing.
All right,
I will say. So if I hear it, I know somebody stole it, right?
Okay.
So it's called Backpack Hoodies and Sneakers.
Okay.
So I'll pose that so what do you think about when you think of backpacks?
Hiking, camping.
Okay.
Personally, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
I got a ton of backpacks, so
So what do you think about from a perspective of an officer?
A backpack as a cop?
Yeah.
Dope transportation. Money. Guns.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a cop, yeah. Instantly.
So
my instinct is camping though.
So same thing. So
yeah,
basically, I think of the same thing.
Yeah.
When I think of a backpack, I think of as Robert the mentor. I think of style, trendy, fashion. Because I know the kids love them.
Yeah.
But as an officer, I think of concealment.
Yeah.
I think of weapons and guns. And drugs, because again, I was that guy working undercover.
Yeah.
But as a parent, I think of education. With the backpack, that's what it's designed for. So, what about hoodie?
Hoodie, yeah, right away. Suspect, every suspect description. Hoodie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But me growing up in Michigan, I'm like, that's the national anthem.
All right. See, so same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. You think backpack. You think hoodie.
Yeah.
Police officer. You think somebody getting ready to hit a lick. Right?
Yeah. Especially if that shit's up and it's Texas. You're like, why'd you hood up, bro? It's summertime.
Yeah. But as the mentor in me, I know that is just a comfort. It's fashion for the kids. It's the time that we're living in, and I'm the kind of guy I like hoodies too. But also as the mentor, I know that the hoodie comes with the stigma, the bullying. Some of the kids, it's the social emotional aspect of it, because some of the kids may not have a haircut, so they wear hoodies. They don't want to get picked on.
They can't wear hats in school.
They don't want to get bullied. They'll allow them to wear hoodies. They won't allow them to wear hats, right? And so we have a kid. He has eczema really bad, and so he wears his hoodie. He doesn't want to show his skin. And then when we think of the tennis shoe, more specifically the Jordan
fashion
brand.
Baby. Flint 13s. That's my favorite shoe.
What?
Yeah.
Wow, look at you.
Yes.
So, when we think of that, we think of transitions, as a mentor. But as that officer, I think when I combine that hoodie, the backpack, the hoodie, I'm thinking of a kid who could probably be trying to hit a lick to keep up with this fashion, to keep up with these trends, who parents may not actually have the money for it. So, when I started to piece all this together, and exactly what you said, we hear a lot, male with a hoodie on and that kind of thing with a backpack. We hear a lot of that as police officers. So we created backpack hoodies and sneakers as it it was a town hall discussion where we talked about the stigmas behind the backpack, hoodie, and sneakers, and how it is an integral part of the lives of our young men in the community. So we host a panel where we have mental health professionals, police officers, mentors, and things like that, who come out and have these open and honest discussions with these young kids about the pros and cons.
Yeah.
And
this episode of the podcast is brought to you by Impact Tactical. Impact is a tactical outfitter for the men and women of our military, police, fire departments, and other public safety around the country. Impact's core beliefs is that fearless men and women protect our freedom and safety should have access to the best tactical performance apparel, equipment, and tools on the market. And they shouldn't have to go broke to get it. I've used Impact for about 11 years, and I can attest that they do live up to their core values. So you get a personal recommendation from me. You can find them at impacttactical.com. That's MPAK tactical.com. And be sure to tell them that 2 Cops, 1 Donut sent you.
And at the end of that event, we give all of them a custom hoodie, a new backpack, and a new pair of tennis shoes.
Nice.
Yeah. So last year, that's where.
What kind of shoes you giving though? You giving whack ass shoes?
Jordan 1.
Oh, there you go.
Come on, man.
I'm just checking. You never know.
Look, like I think I'm a cool dude. You know. I like Jordans and tennis and all that. You know. Yeah. So. And that's what one of the events we partnered with Dak Prescott on, and all of the kids were gifted a custom hoodie. We customized the hoodie and put a logo on the back of it. And then they were getting a Jordan backpack, and they were getting a pair of Jordan tennis shoes. So that's one of our initiatives that we do all the time. Because, again, finding that commonality.
Dude, you got to let me cover one of those. And this is why. Because the way you just broke it down, like, I didn't think about it. I was just thinking about me. I was thinking, like, all right, this is what I think. Like, backpack, immediately, I'm like, camping, hiking, that's what I do with my backpacks. But when you like put your cop hat on, I'm like, oh, instantly, this. You're like, yeah. So just having that perspective, just think of how many kids we could help out by, because my audience is mainly first responders and cops and military that are probably going to be cops when they get out of the military. So if we could cover an event like that, and it may be able to eye open some of those guys to be like, oh, fuck, I didn't realize, that's my cop hat versus my personal hat. And then when they go to talk to some of these kids, maybe they can start to break down. Okay, like you can, you start to look. Like, I'm a people person. I can read people. At least I think I can. That's one of my super skills, I guess. And so, I see a kid and I'm like, his shoes are clean.
Yeah.
Like, he ain't out here slinging. Like, people slinging they ain't that clean. And he ain't like. Even if he is, and I've got video like where we'll sit and watch hot spots where, they are dealing. Like, even that guy that is out there clean, like, he ain't the one. He's monitoring. He's watching his people, but he ain't the one. So when you just stop a kid rolling down the street and he's got a hoodie on in Texas, but he's got clean sneaks and, he's got that new bag, like, that makes sense. And if you have... There's a lot of guys that don't have that education. I grew up where I grew up. You grew up where you grew up. We kind of understand that a little bit better. Or you understand that because you've worked the streets, in that environment. So you get that. But there's a lot of cops that are coming fresh out of high school that came from, Nebraska. No offense, Nebraska. And, they go hit the streets somewhere, down here in New Orleans or wherever it is. And that is not a culture they've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
And if you talk to cops and they're like, oh, he's wearing, the hood uniform, which, he's out there dealing, whatever it is, maybe covering something like that would be, and let people steal it, dude. That's what I say. That's what I've been about with this podcast. And they're like, I've had friends like, aren't you worried another cop's gonna, like, that's got a big platform is going to take what you're doing and run with it? Like, I don't give a shit. Let him. Yeah. Let him run with it. I'm here to help people. So if we can help people based on that, awesome. Because I'll know where they got it from. But it don't matter. Because I'm going to keep doing this, and you're going to keep doing what you do. But, yeah, I want to cover that. That's good. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah. We're actually in the process of hosting our second one.
Okay.
In January in New Orleans at my old high school.
Oh, you're going back to New Orleans? I'm not going over there.
No. Wait.
I ain't going out there.
But the great thing about it is for me to go home to bring something back to my community, man.
Hell yeah.
That's one of the things I've always wanted to do is make sure that NEX is in Louisiana. And so one of my friends hit me up and was like, BHS, we got to bring BHS here. And
Okay.
said, how do we do it? And right now, that's what we're and actually in the process of piecing it all together. So
when you looking?
January 14th
Of next year.
Okay. And so everybody's like, how are you going to get it done financially? I said, man, we always make a way. So we typically host about 60 kids.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Dang. Okay.
And Erica it'll get done.
Okay.
It'll get done.
Will you let me know?
Yeah.
If you start making flyers or anything like that, I'll post them on my stuff.
Yeah.
The big one that I'm doing right now is the Brotherhood for the Fallen. I don't know if y'all have that where you're at. Yeah, so we have that gala coming up in October, and they asked me to bring the podcast out. Mm-hmm. So obviously the target audience, I went to anytime an officer falls in Michigan, I try to go because I got a personal connection. Well, we had a Detroit officer that was killed, and went up there in Detroit. They didn't. Everybody I talked to, nobody knew what Brotherhood for the Fallen was, and I'm just like, oh my God, guys! Like, I'm fully like invested in Brotherhood for the Fallen. I love it. I love the message. Trying to help. I've explained this. I'm glad you're here. All right. Balance is off you. Okay. I don't care for the thin blue line expression of, it's us versus them. It's, we're the line between evil. Duh, you're a cop. Like, that self-explanatory to me. That's not what the thin blue line is to me. To me, what the thin blue line is, if I fall in the line of duty, I got 2 daughters out there.
Yeah.
I already know, we've met one time here. Now, if I die tomorrow, you will make sure that those kids never want for anything. Yeah. Versus if I worked in a cubicle somewhere and I die, they're going to have a luncheon for me. They're going to check. Maybe my good friend from work will check in on my wife, if they don't try to sleep with her, whatever it is. Just joking, guys. And that's going to be about it. But in the police world and the firefighter world, first responders, military, it's not just cops. It's all those first responders. If we fall in the line of duty, our family is not going to want for anything the rest of their lives, assuming that they're willing to take the help, because we've seen the ones that are like, fuck y'all, I don't want nothing to do with you guys. So that's a thin blue line to me. So when we talk about that stuff in, like I said, with Brotherhood for the Fallen, like, man, I just think that's huge. And that's the message I want to send when I want people to think of the thin blue line. And that's why the the Brotherhood for the Fallen has such a good community respect and support. Yeah. So with what you're doing, I can definitely, if you guys allow me to, put it on my charities page. I have charities and sponsors page that, everybody knows that listens to my show. I don't do just any sponsor. I won't let, OnlyFans sponsor this show. Like, that's not what I'm about. But if it's something I believe in, I will definitely let them be a sponsor to the show. So I put all that on a page. I got your link. I have your mission statement. And then people will know right where to go. Yeah. If they're looking for something good, I think that would be sweet. And I'm definitely into what y'all got going on. So you're going to go to New Orleans. Specifically New Orleans, or are you going to go to your...
Kenner,
okay.
Louisiana, okay. Bonneville High School.
Okay. What was your graduating class size?
500.
Okay, that's not bad. Yeah. That's decent.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we started off with maybe 1,000, but
it sounds like my class. Yeah, that's not bad. All right. Yeah. Well, we'll talk about it later. Maybe I can make it down there with you, but probably not. I ain't trying to go.
Hey, but I definitely plan to do it again here. Hopefully in February or March here.
My birthday's in February. Let's go.
So I'll never forget, Texas, because this is home too. This is home now.
So what was the kids' response to it? I'm curious.
Man, you know what? It was probably, we do a lot of events in the community, and it was definitely the best event. All of the kids, they weren't sure that they weren't sure what they were going to get.
Okay.
Because when we registered them, I had to have shoe sizes and things like that, but they didn't know they had anything. They were just in a room. We were doing our thing. We did an introduction. We separated the parents, and at the end of it, we opened the partition. and they saw all the Jordans and all. They were
No.
dude.
Yeah.
Like, are you serious?
Oh man.
Yeah, and we just really wanted to let them know that we appreciated them after educating them and listening to them about, you know, the importance of these, you know, items in our community. And really, it was great. Like hugs and high fives.
Hell yeah, I'll hug you for some Jordans.
And just to see them, you know, and just to see them represented, you know, the hoodie in a positive way, the backpack, you know, in a positive way. It was great.
Now, are you explaining to them how police may see, and like just how we had that discussion? Is that coming across to them?
Yeah. So one of the moderators was he's an educator here in Texas, and man, he does an amazing job. So when I initially met him, we did some mentor stuff together, and so when I put this event together, I said I need you to moderate this, and man, he took it and had a vision that I didn't even have. And
okay.
So even for New Orleans, I was like, dude, you got to come down and do this thing again.
Yeah.
Because we took them through the history of the backpack, hoodie, and sneaker, and how it became hip hop, and where it all came from, and things like that. And we played games like Name That Jordan. What year did this Jordan come out? And things like that. So it was a great event. And of course, you have to feed them and things like that. And, and we also had something for the parents, you know. So we teach a firearm safe storage course. So simultaneously, we separated the parents and put them through a firearm safe storage course where we really educated them about how to safely store your gun. You know, we're not going to teach you how to shoot or anything like that because you don't want me to teach you that.
That's why you're a sergeant.
But we educated them on how to safely store their guns because, you know, the guns that these kids are getting their hands on, we own them as adults. They're not old enough to actually purchase those guns.
Right.
So we took them through that course, and we had a young man who talked about the tragedy of playing with a gun and what it did for him. And if we have time, I'll tell you that story because it's amazing, you know, to shoot yourself with the gun and still be here to tell the story.
Oh, he shot himself.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. When I was a kid, my cousin, who's like my brother, like we still, to he's best man at my wedding, I wasn't there that day. I was supposed to come over. I didn't. I've probably my mom, you know, being a bee. I'm just kidding. One of our friends got the shotgun out of the gun cabinet, and in Michigan, the gun cabinet's a normal thing. Like it's like all fancy wood with nice looking glass.
Nice
like
glass.
It's a normal thing where I'm from. And he was racking the shells out. Like that was all he was doing, was just racking the shells, and he, being a dumbass, you know, 15 years old, maybe 16, points it at my cousin. And he's like, dude, like, you know, like, even we all know better than that, but there's always that one kid that has to be a dumbass. And even though he knows better, and my cousin, like, moved it. And just as he moved it, it went off.
Oh, wow.
Because the kid thought he had racked it all of them out, and he didn't. He had racked one more in. And to this day, like, I remember that I wanted to kill that guy. Like that, you know, and like I remember hearing about it. I didn't talk to that kid for a while. Like, you know, I was just so pissed off, and I know he felt bad. You know, I know that in his heart that wasn't, he fucked up. But the education on the firearms, man, it is huge, and even kids that know better still do dumb shit.
Even adults that know better, we sometimes become complacent. You know.
Yep. My wife gets on me because I like. You know, my kids have grown up with it. Like, that's all they know. They know what dad's tools are. They know, and they're girls. They don't, for the most part, they don't give a shit anyway. But they're not like boys. But I get home, set my keys, my gun, all my stuff. And my wife's like, put it in your room.
Yeah.
All right, my bad. But, so, you had, do you want to tell that story right now?
Yeah, so
because I kind of want to hear it. You got me excited about it.
And it's a personal story for me because, you know, a buddy of mine called me one morning. I'll never forget it. Saturday morning about 9:00, and he said, "Hey, I can't find my son." And I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's about some girls. He's like,
yeah,
but he's like, well, no, you know, he moved out. Okay,
how old is he?
At this time, he's 19.
Okay,
and he said that's unusual for him. I hadn't heard from him in 2 days, and I said, oh, yeah, okay. So where does he live? He said, he's up in Denton area, and I said, all right, cool. Call the hospitals up there. I said, I'll call the jails and see if, you know, he's in custody or something.
Yeah.
So after that, he's like, nope. I said, all right, well, you need to go up there to make a missing person report. And I kind of walked him through those steps, and his girlfriend was just adamant that something wasn't right because she had not heard from her boyfriend in 2 days too.
Oh.
And so my buddy was just like, man, this girl is getting on my nerves. Something really must not be right. So they get with the PD up there, and eventually they go to his apartment. My buddy initially thought that his son was living with the girlfriend, but didn't know that he moved out.
Okay.
So this was during the pandemic. So at this time, the girlfriend's like, hey, we got to go to his apartment. So he's in some campus apartments, not in school, just lived in the campus apartments. And long story short, they eventually decide we need to go to the apartment complex. So they go to the apartment complex, and the front desk attendant's like, nah, can't let you back. So I don't know how they eventually get around her.
Yeah.
And then they go to the suite. You know how they have a door and 3 rooms in there.
Right.
Suite door is locked.
Shit.
So he calls me, and at this time it's probably like 4:00 in the evening. I said, well, shit, call the suite mates. And there was only one other guy that lived in the suite with them. The guy went home earlier that week, and he said, hey, yeah, he was here when I left. So if that door is locked, there's obviously somebody in the suite.
Right. Yeah. It's not gonna lock itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so of course he's asking me, he's like, man, the officers are huddled up. So, okay, well, they're coming up with a plan. And I explained the exigency of it and that kind of things and how they could or couldn't articulate it. I said, I don't know. I said, do you want me to come up there? He's like, no, let's just hold on a minute.
So I'll go up there and kick it.
Yeah. So eventually the officers force entry. They go into his room and find him there. He's got a single gunshot wound to his head. So he has a frontal lobe entry impact point, and he's laying there, but he's alive. He had been there for 2 days.
Did it follow around or did it go in?
In came out the top of his head.
Okay.
It was a through and through, and he had been there for 2 days.
Oh, shit.
So when he told me, he was like, man, he's in there. He's been shot. And I said, give the phone to the officer. So he gives the phone over to the officer, and I asked him, I introduced myself. I said, hey, man, can you tell me what's going on? He said, man, he's got a single gunshot wound, looks self-inflicted. I immediately think, oh, maybe he's committed suicide.
Yeah.
And he said, but he's got a pulse. I said, just put him in the box.
Get his ass going.
And get him out. I said, don't tell my buddy, where he's been shot. So when they take him down to the box, my buddy steps into the room and sees all the blood. Ugh. And he's like, man. I said, well, just get to the hospital, prepare yourself for the worst. Yeah. I said, but I'll be on my way up there. And so he's like, and I said, you know what? They probably won't even let you in because of the pandemic.
And shit. It was during that time.
Yeah. And I said, man, I was getting ready to work an off-duty job. I said, I'm in uniform. Do you need me to come up there? He said, well, just give me a little bit. I'll let you know. So a couple hours later, he calls me back and said, man, he's shot in the head. I said, yeah, I didn't want you to know that, but obviously you know now. I said, but, he's alive. That's the great thing about it. I said, so just, have faith that he'll make it through it. And so long story short, about 4 months later, he walks out of the hospital.
Holy shit.
Yeah. He walks out of the hospital, and me and this kid were, we were okay when he was younger. But when he started to see and get older and all the George Floyd and all of the, the social unrest which came to police use of force, he kind of pulled away from me. Okay. And I'm pretty good with kids, especially young men. And we weren't on the same page. And so he walked in my house 4 months later, and I looked at him like, man, and eventually, my buddy was like, he's going to tell his story about what happened. And we were doing things in barbershops and beauty salons, already having, informal town halls, just kind of talking to the community with the nonprofit. Yeah,
shop talks, man. They're the best.
Yeah. And so we were doing those things, and he said, I want him to tell this story when he's ready. So one day he decides, I'm ready to tell you guys what happened. So we were having our firearm safe storage course, and I said, I want you to come out and tell it. So he came out and he told us about really just what he was doing. And he said, man, I had money. I it was during the pandemic or something, and he had a bunch of cash.
Yeah.
And so he went and bought a gun. He wanted to feel safe, so he moved out of his girlfriend's house into the on-campus apartments. Whether that's true or not, who knows? Mm-hmm. And I said, well, what were you doing? He says, well, I'm an inspiring rapper.
Oh, no.
Go figure. And he said, I was trying to do something on TikTok with the gun.
Yeah.
Trying to, create a video with
show
TikTok.
Out. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Didn't know anything about the gun. He's flicking the gun around his finger, and gun goes off.
Did it actually enter his brain, or did it just follow the skull?
It's right in between right in between his eyes. And came out on an angle on top of his head. So it was a frontal lobe injury, came up top of his head, and what really probably saved his life is it was through and through. And he laid there for 2 days in his own blood.
Did he remember any of that 2 days?
No. He said he just remembers waking up in the hospital, and I hadn't actually really got into it and kind of pressed him. I just kind of just allowed him to tell, what he's comfortable telling, and I was just like, wow, dude. I said, man, if you've got definitely have a mission, man, and the Lord saved you, spared your life for a reason, and he and I. He came out to the backpack, hoodie, and sneaker event and told the parents about, his experiences and things like that. And, and I was just, the great thing about that came out of that is that he was more open to talking to me about different experiences in life and stuff like that. We don't have a great relationship or anything like that, but at least it mended the relationship a little bit. But I think at this point he should be thankful for everything.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just listening to that and that's part of that event. We allowed the parents to hear that story, and it was just crazy.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And so does he know how much you helped his dad through that process?
Never had that conversation with him.
No.
Yeah.
Man,
never.
That is nuts. I mean, that is of all the, and like I said, it's dumb. It's avoidable. Dumb things, a little bit of education with a firearm, keep your booger finger off the bang switch.
You and me get one here, it's done.
Yeah, I know.
Major arteries or whatever.
Yeah, we'll hit an elbow and we're out.
We're gonna bleed out.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. That is insane.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad he does that. So you guys get is it like, how long is the process before a big event is what I'm trying to get to. So you get these kids, let's say you started all your mentorships in January. Mm-hmm. Okay. Is it in December? There's some sort of like, all right, 1 year graduation thing. How does it work? Is it just individual basis?
Yeah, I'll keep a young man all the way up until 21, 22 years old. I have one kid now. He's 21. He was one of the first kids I had. I met him. He was homeless, but he just had a baby. There's no way we're going to leave him right now.
I gotcha.
Yeah, so the biggest thing is for kids like him, for young men like him, it's now you should be, pouring back into some of the other kids.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
So we utilize them to pour in. Most of the kids are in high school. I'm in college. Okay. Some of them I have a couple that just started trade school. One wants to be a mechanic.
Okay.
So he decided to forego, college, and then not all of them make it. Let's be realistic.
Yeah.
There are some that just didn't make it, and it's like, hey man, you don't want anything for your life, so I can't help you.
I need to get you connected with, because you said some of your guys are car guys too. One of my coworkers, his brother-in-law, was a Green Beret. He was killed in action. Sergeant Alex Viola. Yeah. They have a car show in his honor where the Green Berets from his team are the car judges.
Oh, okay.
But it's huge now. Like it's an enormous event. It's very big. All, classic cars, stuff like that. But it's a nonprofit. It's police, military, all that stuff. So you got that good side of the house, and then it's cars, baby. So if they're looking for something to help out with and give service, I mean, that's a good one to go to. At a bare minimum, if you have some car kids, I could at least give you the information and you could push them
Definitely.
that way for something to help out with, because that's a year-long planning. That's huge. And I just had him on, my buddy. He's been on twice now, but just to tell you the backstory, basically what he had done was he found a homeless veteran. He didn't know he was a veteran at the time, but he was a frequent flyer, was constantly being called on. But he was like, every time I show up, this guy's so respectful. He's being real nice. And so I'm finding out a little piece of his story every time. He never played the military card. Long story short, turns out not only has this guy been shot 3 times for his country, he's service connected. He's got disability payments that could be coming to him, but he needs a mailing address and all that stuff. He doesn't have that.
Wow.
He's got he has a truck that he had torn apart and is in a storage unit. So he ends up finding this nonprofit that in Texas that gets used RVs for veterans and fixes them back up and gives them a place to stay. So that's what my buddy Joey did, was got this kid, he's my age, he slipped through the cracks of the VA, got a hold of the VA, verified his story, year-long process, but he got him in an RV, into an RV park. He's got a place to live. And it's just, the story keeps getting better and better. So, this is what I love about doing this podcast, dude. I get networked with all these amazing people, stuff like you're doing, that cops will never brag about because it's not their style. Firefighters will never brag about. Military guys will never brag about. So let me brag for you. So I want to get NEX out there. I want people, sponsors that are listening, if you're into donating to a nonprofit, let's get you out here. Let's get you a part of this, because this is how you start preventing recidivism. This is how we start cutting the root off when it's starting to go bad, and getting these kids down the right path. So it sounds like you're going in a successful direction.
Hopefully, 5 years I can retire and maybe I can.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But man, what's the future hold for it? Where do you see? I see where you're going with it now, but like if money was no object or any of that, like what's your biggest picture?
Really, it would be a trade school for just a vocational school for the young men. A lot of kids don't want to go to college these days, and you can't blame them because of the debt, right? And ultimately a building that where we can actually have some temporary housing, as well as a vocational school for the young men.
Okay.
And I'm simple on that, and I'm not one of those guys that, and no knock to anyone else that actually pays themselves, and that's an actual job for me. It's just helping a kid, man. Yeah. Because going to a scene and seeing, having to arrest a kid for something silly that they did, or seeing a parent that's dealing with a kid that just got killed, that's that takes its toll on you. And this is my way of trying to prevent that from happening.
Yeah. And the thing that I hate when I hear is, that kid should have known better. You have no fucking idea.
Yeah.
These kids' lives. They've got a parent that either one has to work. And they're by themselves. So they're being raised by their friends, the streets. And it is not a scenario you can ever fathom unless you've witnessed it. You can't put yourself in those shoes. And to sit back from where we're sitting back from, even where I'm at now, I'm in the American dream. There's no knocking what I'm doing. I got my 2.5 kids, I got my dogs, I've got a house, I got my wife, my mother-in-law lives here. I live what's considered the American dream. Now, where I came from, that doesn't happen. That's not a common thing from Flint. But, I used the military. They used me. We made it work, that's the way it was. I didn't want debt. So, I like the military option. For me, it worked for me, but it's not for everybody.
Correct.
And some of these kids that we're talking about, they've already ruined that chance. They can't do it even if they wanted to. Yeah. But that doesn't mean it's over, and that doesn't mean we should give up and stop trying. So I'm with you, man. I like this. I'm on board. What is the what's the year looking like for the rest of the year?
Actually, we always have an end of the year just event for the boys. We just took them out to a steakhouse.
Hell yeah!
To give them a small taste of what fine dining kind of is, and so
Okay.
ultimately we'll be going over some etiquette and literally just taking them somewhere where they can suits and
I
things
know where
like
you
that.
stole that from.
Where's that?
You Michelle Pfeiffer.
Nah.
Yeah, you did.
No,
Lying ass.
no,
Yeah,
no,
you
come
did.
on,
That's
man.
the same
Hey.
move from that. What was that movie where she was the teacher?
What was it?
Because it was Coolio's
Coolio
song.
was in it.
Yeah. I'm an educated fool with money in my mind. Got the
Dangerous Mind.
Dangerous Minds. That's
See?
what it was.
Hey,
Yeah. I had to sing the song to remember the movie.
I wouldn't know that, right?
Yeah.
So no, it's just all of our young men, whether they're going to prom or not, after community service enough hours, they earn a suit. So
Okay.
that's ultimately my thing for the boys at the end of the year. Did you do enough community service hours, or have you met enough of your goal to earn your suit? We call
Hell
it
yeah.
earn their black coat.
Okay.
So I buy them black suits and things like that. So the money that we raise or the donations that we receive, that's what it goes to.
Okay. Oh, nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
God, I want a suit.
Hey, I can't help it. I was hoping you probably had a couple. You look like you're my size. A couple sitting around here that I can have.
Shit. Oh man, I got like two go-tos, and I had to interchange the undershirt because I'm.
Hey, there you go. Black, gray, blue. That's all you need.
That's all you need. That's right. Okay. So end of the year, you get that going. You get the suits. Big picture. Anything I'm missing, sir? Anything else that you want to add to this?
I would just say, there are a lot of organizations out there like mine, that are grassroots, that are really just doing things to help, better our community, that sometimes get really, really get overlooked. And, we all know that you've got to pay your dues, before you, but there are some great organizations here in North Texas and I'm sure throughout the country, that are doing awesome things. And I would just say give them an opportunity, there are some organizations that are getting millions and millions of dollars. It won't
Wounded
hurt.
Warrior Project. I'll call them out.
and there's some that, where $1,000, $2,000 will go a long way for organizations like mine. So I would say, as we're investing in the future, and I know that if you plant a seed with us, you're planting in good soil. We won't take advantage of the money that you actually give us, and it's important to continue our mission with these young men.
Yeah, awesome, brother. Well, I appreciate you coming out.
Not a problem.
We're an hour and a half. I think we fucking hit it home, but I think we did a good job, man. All right. So how can they find it?
Again, NEX Metropolitan. www.nexmetropolitan.org. We took the T off.
There you go. All right.
And again, it's North Texas Giving Day starts September 1st here in North Texas. That's another way to donate to us. If you search the North Texas Giving Day site or just on our website, there's a donation link. Again, 100% of the proceeds from that we receive go back to our young men. All of my volunteers are strictly volunteers.
Nice. Well, brother, I appreciate you coming out, telling your story, hooking us up with this. But more importantly, man, I love the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Because officers are already giving up a lot, but I mean, you're giving up your personal time as well to do something that we know is right and something that's needed and something that helps the community. So I appreciate everything you're doing. But
no, I appreciate you and thank you for giving me this platform to just come on and
I do what I can. So, but thank.
I appreciate y'all.
All right, man. Thanks for coming out. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by HRH Combat Arms. They can turn your vision into reality. They specialize in gunsmithing and Cerakoting. Your Cerakote specialist is Air Force veteran and retired police sergeant Paul Ware, a.k.a. the Sarge. He can Cerakote your firearms, auto parts, tools, even your sports equipment. This veteran-owned business is located at 5025 Saunders Suite 103, Fort Worth, Texas 76119. You can call them at 682-304-0363, and you can find them online at www.hrhcombatarms.com. That's www.hrhcombatarms.com.